The fake nice. They're the person who volunteers for everything, helps everyone, and somehow makes every act of kindness feel like a debt you owe them. You've seen this person. Maybe they're in your friend group, your office, your church. They're always the first to offer help, but you notice something strange. Every story they tell about helping someone ends with how grateful that person was, how lost they would have been without them. The help is real, but it's a currency, and you are always the one who ends up paying. Your chest doesn't tighten around them at first. It only happens later, when you realize that every favor came with an invisible invoice. You feel guilty when you don't perform enough gratitude. You feel watched when you do. Your gut is sending you a signal your brain keeps overriding because they seem so good. People say, but they do so much for others. How can they be narcissistic? But a surgeon can cut you open with a smile. The instrument and the intention are two different things. Red flags. They remind you, casually, often, of everything they've done for you. They withdraw warmth the moment you stop publicly acknowledging them. This is called communal narcissism, and it is one of the hardest to name because it wears the face of virtue. The most dangerous mask is the one that looks like a halo.
The victim narcissist. They are the person whose pain is always louder than yours, even when you are the one who is bleeding. Every conversation circles back to their suffering. You came to them with something real, a loss, a fear, a hard week, and somehow, within 3 minutes, you are comforting them. Your shoulders carry the weight of their life so consistently that you've forgotten what it felt like to put it down. You start editing yourself before you speak. You stop sharing hard things. You train yourself unconsciously to need less, because needing anything around them costs you more than silence does. Your jaw is tight. Your words are small. You are shrinking, and you don't even know why. People say they've been through a lot. You should be more compassionate. But compassion given to someone who uses it as a weapon isn't kindness. It's fuel. Red flags. When you share a problem, they immediately one-up your pain. When you try to create space, they collapse dramatically. This is called victim narcissism, a pattern where suffering is the throne they rule from. They taught you that love means abandoning yourself at the door. The attention seeker. They are a black hole wearing a party dress. Everything in the room bends toward them, whether it wants to or not. They are the loudest person in the group chat, the one who posts the most, performs the most, needs the most reaction. When something good happens to you, they somehow make it about them within seconds. When something bad happens to them, the world must stop. You find yourself exhausted at social events because tracking their emotional weather takes everything you have. Your energy doesn't deplete slowly around them, it vanishes, like a phone left in direct sun. People say they're just extroverted and expressive, but extroversion shares the spotlight. This type consumes it. Red flags. They visibly shut down or create drama when attention shifts away from them. Complimenting someone else in front of them always comes at a cost. This is called exhibitionistic narcissism, and you are not their audience. You are their applause machine. You were never in a relationship with them. You were in their audience.
The controller. They don't ask for control. They simply rearrange your life until their preferences are the only ones that fit. Maybe this is a boss who CCs themselves on every email, a partner who has an opinion about what you order at a restaurant, a parent who frames every boundary you set as a personal attack on them. It starts small, a comment here, a correction there, but over time you notice that your choices have shrunk to the size of a fist. You don't fight about big things. You fight about nothing, constantly. The real argument is never the one on the surface. The real argument is who gets to exist on their own terms in this relationship. People say they just have high standards, but standards apply to yourself. What they have is a compulsive need to author your life for you. Red flags. They make decisions for you without asking. They react to your independence like it's an act of betrayal. This is called dominant narcissism, and the cage is always invisible until you try to leave. Control this precise isn't a personality trait. It's a system. The silent manipulator. They are a current beneath still water, invisible, constant, and strong enough to pull you under before you realize you've moved. They never shout. They sigh. They don't criticize. They go quiet in a way that fills the entire room.
You spend enormous energy trying to decode their silences, trying to figure out what you did, trying to fix something they will never name. This is intentional. The ambiguity is the weapon. Your anxiety does all their work for you. You are walking on a floor you can't see, testing every step, and they are watching from a place of perfect calm. Because the chaos is all inside of you. They manufactured it. They just don't leave fingerprints.
People say they never even raised their voice. How is that abuse? But a slow leak ruins a foundation just as completely as a flood. Red flags? You feel responsible for their emotions, but can never pinpoint what you did wrong. They deny things they clearly said, leaving you questioning your memory. This is called covert narcissism, and it is the most underdiagnosed form because it looks, from the outside, like sensitivity. The quietest ones leave the deepest damage. The ego king. They walk into a room the way a storm front moves across a sky. You feel the pressure change before they even speak. This is the classic image, the one who cannot stop talking about their achievements, who drops names like breadcrumbs, who genuinely believes the rules that apply to everyone else were written for smaller people. And here's what's disorienting. Sometimes they're charming enough that you agree with them at first. The confidence is magnetic. The certainty is seductive. It's only later, when your own opinions start disappearing from conversations, that you feel the slow erasure. Your thoughts matter less. Your presence matters less. Eventually, you're furniture in the story of their life. People say they're just confident, but confidence lifts the people around it. This type consumes them. Red flags? They cannot take even the mildest criticism without it becoming a confrontation. They expect exceptions to rules as a default. This is called grandiose narcissism, the one closest to the clinical textbook and still constantly mistaken for leadership. They didn't see you. They saw a mirror that hadn't learned to reflect them yet. The smart one. They use intelligence the way a scalpel is used, precisely, clinically, and always to open something up rather than heal it. They are the one who wins every argument, not because they are right, but because they are relentless. They correct you in public. They use vocabulary as a dominance tool. They make you feel stupid in ways that are so technically delivered you almost admire the precision. Around them, you stop offering opinions. You preface everything with, I might be wrong, and you weren't doing that before. Your intellectual confidence has been quietly, surgically removed, and the procedure left no visible scar. People say, they're just very smart. Not everyone can keep up. But intelligence used to diminish is not intelligence. It's cruelty with good vocabulary. Red flags. They correct minor, irrelevant details to redirect conversations they're losing. They make you feel like your emotional responses are evidence of your inferiority. This is called cerebral narcissism, and the classroom they built for you only ever had one-star student. They didn't share their knowledge with you. They used it to measure the distance between you. The body obsessed. They treat their body like a trophy case, and everyone around them like the audience hired to admire it. They are the partner who comments on your food, the friend who makes every beach trip a performance, the person who can redirect any conversation back to how they look, how they're perceived, how desired they are. And around them, something happens to how you see yourself. The comments are subtle. A glance at your plate, an offhand comparison, a story about someone who really let themselves go. Your body starts to feel like a problem, a project, something to be managed rather than lived in. People say they just take care of themselves. That's healthy. But self-care nourishes. This type weaponizes appearance as social currency, spending it at your expense. Red flags. They fish for physical compliments constantly and react with punishment, silence, coldness, withdrawal when those compliments aren't given. This is called somatic narcissism, and you were never their partner. You were their backdrop. They made you a stranger to your own reflection. The love bomber. They arrive in your life like a summer storm, overwhelming, beautiful, and capable of flooding everything you built before they got there. It was too much, too fast, and it felt like fate. The texts before you even wake up, the I've never felt this way after 2 weeks,
the planning of a future before you know each other's middle names.
And you felt it. Something in your nervous system lit up in a way it hadn't in years. What you didn't know is that your brain, flooded with dopamine and oxytocin, was being calibrated, tuned to a frequency only they could provide. Later, when it stops, and it always stops, you will chase that feeling like someone looking for a signal their phone stopped receiving. The withdrawal is physical. Your hands shake. Your sleep breaks apart. You miss someone you were never actually allowed to know. People say, "You move too fast. That's on you." But you can't consent to manipulation you can't see. A riptide doesn't ask permission. Red flags. Intensity that feels romantic but arrives before any real trust has been established. Statements like, "You're not like anyone I've ever met" in the first weeks. This is called love bombing, and it is not love. It is the installation of a dependency. They didn't fall for you. They fell on you and called the wreckage a romance. The angry narcissist? They are weather with a target, and you learned bone deep that you were it. The anger is never proportionate. A minor inconvenience becomes an event. A disagreement becomes a verdict on your character. You have stopped tracking what makes them angry and started tracking your own behavior. Monitoring, adjusting, preempting, walking through your own home like it's a crime scene you're trying not to disturb. Your nervous system is no longer your own. It belongs to their mood. You flinch at sounds, you read silences for threat level. Your body has learned something your mind keeps arguing against, that this is dangerous. People say everyone gets angry. You need thicker skin. But skin isn't designed to withstand sustained fire, and you are not a building material. Red flags, their anger is followed by your apology, even when you did nothing wrong. The anger disappears the moment they get what they want. This is called malignant narcissism when combined with patterns of cruelty, and it is the form most likely to cause lasting trauma. Not because it is the loudest, but because it rewires your baseline for what feels normal. You didn't develop anxiety. You developed survival. Every type looks different on the surface, but underneath, they all require the same thing from you. Yourself, surrendered, piece by piece, until there's nothing left they haven't touched. The most dangerous narcissists are the ones you never notice. If any of this helped you name something you have been living through, share it with someone who needs to see it.